Sometimes, the biggest changes start in the smallest, most inconvenient moments. For Daniel Harper, that moment arrived on a lonely stretch of Highway 72, late at night, when his car suddenly died. He was stranded, no cell service, just the darkness and the hum of crickets. Daniel, no mechanic, stared helplessly at his engine. He waited, hoping for help, until flashing blue and red lights appeared in his rearview mirror. The arrival of a police officer should be reassuring, but on a deserted road at midnight, it can feel like something else entirely. Daniel felt a knot in his stomach as the officer approached, the headlights turning him into a silhouette. He was just a guy with a broken-down car, but suddenly he felt like a suspect. This wasn't a dramatic crime story, just a routine encounter that would go terribly wrong. It was about the vulnerability you feel when you're powerless, dependent on the goodwill of a stranger with a badge and a gun. Daniel Harper's car broke down that night, but that was only the beginning. Before sunrise, his faith in the system would break down too. And that breakdown would send shockwaves far beyond the gravel shoulder of Highway 72. By morning, there were two versions of what happened on that highway. In Daniel's story, the officer was aggressive, accusatory, and never offered help. Daniel tried to explain, but felt unheard and intimidated. He was ordered out, searched, and left feeling humiliated and powerless. By the time he left, he was shaken and scared, convinced his rights had been trampled. Officer Miller's version was the opposite. He described a routine check on a suspicious vehicle in a high-risk area. He claimed Daniel was nervous and evasive, so he followed standard procedure. The officer's report said the search was consensual and everything was professional. He called a tow truck, helped Daniel, and moved on. Just another night. No aggression, no intimidation, just protocol. Two stories, same night, but completely different realities. Which one was true? With two conflicting accounts, you'd look for a tiebreaker, like a recording. Officer Miller's patrol car had a dashboard camera, meant to be the impartial witness. But when Daniel's lawyer requested the footage, the department said the camera had malfunctioned. No video, no evidence, just a black hole at the heart of the case. Without footage, it was Daniel's word against the officers, and the system usually sides with the badge. The camera was supposed to be the great equalizer, but its failure left Daniel at a massive disadvantage. Memory is fallible, bias is powerful, and the truth often lives in the details a camera would have captured. Was the officer's tone professional or menacing? Was Daniel nervous or intimidated? The malfunction didn't just lose data, it lost the chance for objective truth. Justice was left to guesswork. The absence of evidence tilted the scales. The promise of transparency was broken, and Daniel was left in the dark. Daniel filed a formal complaint, hoping for accountability. He detailed his fear and humiliation, expecting a real investigation. Instead, Internal Affairs read Officer Miller's report, interviewed him, and closed the case. No video, no witnesses, no grounds for action. The officer's word validated the officer's word. Daniel's complaint was dismissed as a misunderstanding. The system designed for oversight seemed more like a rubber stamp. The lack of evidence, instead of raising concern, justified inaction. If an officer's word is all it takes, is there any real accountability? For Daniel, the dismissal was more infuriating than the incident itself. The system wasn't just failing to protect him, it was protecting itself. That's when Daniel realized the problem was bigger than one bad night. Ignored by the department, Daniel filed a civil lawsuit. He wanted answers the complaint process refused to give. Through legal discovery, his lawyers demanded records on all police cameras, not just Officer Miller's. What they found was staggering. Camera malfunctions were widespread, not rare. In some precincts, nearly a third of cameras needed repairs at any time. Maintenance logs were a mess, with no urgency or clear protocol for broken cameras. Some officers logged issues, others didn't. No penalties, no consistency. This wasn't just negligence, it was a pattern that allowed misconduct to go unrecorded. The department's failure to maintain cameras created plausible deniability. The public was told cameras ensured accountability, but many were just for show. Daniel's case was now about a systemic failure, not just one officer. The truth was bigger and more troubling than anyone expected. When Daniel's lawsuit findings went public, outrage erupted. Headlines revealed police cameras weren't working, and nobody seemed to care. The public felt betrayed. Cameras were supposed to build trust, not just be window dressing. Advocacy groups, especially for women's safety, sounded the alarm. For many, a camera is the only independent witness during a vulnerable traffic stop. Stories surfaced from others, especially women, who'd had similar experiences with broken cameras. Daniel's story gave them a voice. The outcry pressured lawmakers. This was now a crisis of public trust. Rallies, petitions, and calls flooded legislators' offices. The issue was framed as a civil rights and public safety emergency. The demand was clear: real rules, real consequences, real change. Politicians could no longer ignore it. The people wouldn't back down until the system changed. Facing public fury and undeniable evidence, lawmakers acted. Daniel testified at public hearings, now the face of a movement. Safety advocates, civil liberties lawyers, and even some police chiefs admitted the system was broken. Lawmakers drafted the Harper Act, a sweeping overhaul of police camera policy. The law mandated regular, documented inspections of all cameras. Every camera had to be checked at the start of every shift. Strict rules for video retention were set months for routine stops, indefinitely for complaints or arrests. No more accidental deletions before complaints could be filed. Most importantly, the law introduced real penalties. Failing to record without a legitimate reason became a policy violation. In court, missing footage meant the citizen's account was presumed credible. Suddenly, broken cameras were a liability, not a loophole. The Harper Act forced departments to take camera maintenance seriously. The Harper Act was more than a technical fix. It rebalanced power during every police encounter. Cameras became objective witnesses, not just gadgets. For women and vulnerable people, a working camera is a vital safeguard. It deters abuse, documents the truth, and holds everyone accountable. Studies show recording de-escalates tension on both sides. The camera encourages professionalism and cooperation. Technology alone isn't enough. Strict rules and real consequences are essential. The Harper Act turned cameras from decoration into guardians of civil rights. It made transparency a reality, not just a promise, and it set a new standard for public safety. Daniel Harper's breakdown became a catalyst for real change. One man's ordeal led to a law that protects millions. The Harper Act's legacy is documentation, objective records, not just memories or bias. This isn't about mistrust, it's about building trust through transparency. Documentation protects citizens and officers alike. The principle extends beyond traffic stops. Clear records ensure fairness everywhere. Daniel's story proves that shining a light on hidden problems can spark reform. Systems break down without vigilance, but accountability can be designed and defended. Daniel's journey for justice started a movement that keeps running, paving a safer, more transparent future. Sometimes the smallest moments can change everything.